Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and tragically, the Inhumans lost to the X-Men in a popularity contest in Marvel Future Fight. What a surprise. With how dominant and strong the Inhumans are in Marvel Future Fight, I am shocked that they did not win and that it was so close. They should have obliterated, annihilated the X-Men. Everybody knows that Karnak is stronger than Jean Grey in the comics. Oh, we lost. So I still get a pretty decent reward. Anyways, that's obviously not what today's video is about. I have a surprise for you guys. I've been hard at work, and that's why this video is later than usual, on a brand new tier list. Now, it's a tier 3 tier list, so it's sort of an amalgamation of a couple of different tier lists that we've done in the past via Google Sheets. I know some of you guys really like the Google Sheets. I know some of you guys really hate the Google Sheets. I know some of you guys don't really care either way. You just watch the videos, and I appreciate you for supporting me. Thank you. Love you. Stay safe. Wash your hands. 6 meters away. Social distancing. Now, what I created is this infographic right here. And I'm going to hide my camera for a second so you guys can see it in all its beautiful, wonderful glory. I made it exactly 1920 by 1080, so it's going to look brand spanking amazing on most monitors and stuff like that. It's gonna fill everything up, and it's got everything you will need to see right away at a glance how good these characters are for different content and how good they are against each other. Now, I will say this, that the list is obviously my opinion. It's my interpretation of the game, my interpretation of the characters with my builds, my cards, my CTPs, etc. So you can disagree with me. You can feel free to rate these characters differently. I can obviously move these characters around. This is not a finalized version either. It's always a work in progress. Everything I do in this game is always a work in progress. I'm always interested in learning more about the game and expanding my knowledge. You never have the complete picture. With that being said, you can sort of read it, obviously, top to bottom and left to right. Left to right is not as important because it's segregated by the different game modes: World Boss, GBR, PvP, which is Timeline and Alliance Conquest, Alliance Battle Extreme, and then Shadowland. The Alliance Battle Extreme and Squad Battle can kind of be put together a little bit. A lot of the top characters for ABX are also being used in Squad Battle, especially Luna, Namor, Jean Grey, Magneto, and Thanos. All those characters are being used heavily. Mr. Fantastic is probably the one that's very good for Squad Battle that's not used for Alliance Battle Extreme, so he's overlooked if you're going to consider Squad Battle. Hopefully, the devs will improve the Squad Battle rewards, and then I can actually make a new list with Squad Battle included, because Squad Battle is a little bit different than ABX. But I decided on these 5 game modes specifically because they each represent different aspects of character building, and different characters are good for different game modes in these 5 situations. So, World Boss and Shadowland are very similar because you can apply all defense down and things like that. So you have characters like Deadpool, Doctor Strange rising to the top. However, Shadowland is a little bit different because it also allows you to use regular all defense down that doesn't apply to World Boss. So Wolverine becomes better in Shadowland than he does in World Boss, or other characters as well. And also in Shadowland, you can apply debuffs. So Spider-Man becomes better because of the webbing. You can use stuns, binds, silences, etc. So that definitely factors into it. You can even have situations where you can remove buffs. So Doctor Strange and Thanos can remove buffs, and then they can do any Shadowland stage. So that is why there was a separation between those 2 game modes. The other ones are pretty self-explanatory. GBR is like a harder version of World Boss. Yes, you have teammates, but you can't use debuffs. So characters like Doctor Strange and Deadpool fall to the bottom because they can't rely on their all defense down. And then raw damage dealers rise to the top. PvP is pretty straightforward. There's obviously a bit of a difference between Timeline and Conquest, but I didn't want to get too technical. And then ABX obviously being the last one. The nice thing about this tier list that I tried to do for you guys, because you've asked for it a lot and I've never done it in the past — that was my ankle cracking if you guys heard that — is I separated tier 3 and tier 2 versions of specific characters that I think are good enough to complete content. I'll hide my camera one more time here because I think I'm blocking Apocalypse down here at the bottom, but I did mention and made special note of Professor X tier 2, Deadpool tier 2, Apocalypse tier 2, and then Jean Grey and Thanos tier 2, because for World Boss and for PvP, the tier 2 versions of those characters with their newest uniforms — for Jean Grey, you can also substitute X-Men Red. For either of the uniforms, they can absolutely perform at a very high level. I mean, when Jean Grey's tier 2 first came out, or sorry, when Jean Grey's uniform first came out and her tier 3 first came out, people were taking tier 2 Jean Grey with X-Men Red into PvP, and they were one-shotting tier 3 Thanoses, and they were one-shotting other tier 3 characters. So she is still insanely powerful for PvP. Now, does that mean you would prefer a tier 2 Jean Grey over a tier 3 Captain Marvel every single time in PvP? No, but it's just trying to reflect how powerful the character is. And I also did this just so that people can know, you know, if you have a tier 2 Jean Grey and you're doing really well in PvP, maybe you don't have to tier 3 her if all you're interested in is her PvP value. She's obviously going to get better, but she's still going to be better than 90% of PvP characters, and especially 90% of tier 3 PvP characters at tier 2. Same thing goes for someone like Professor X, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to make this tier list as well. Professor X is so good at tier 2. It's insane. You know, I think he's better than Winter Soldier at tier 3. Winter Soldier at tier 3 can do Proxima stage 99, but Professor X does it at tier 2, which is insane, and he does it even more easily. Yeah, it's Ebony, not Proxima. She's a little bit harder, sure, but his production and the ease of how you play the character is just crazy. Like, that really does matter. You know, if you have to retry over and over and over again, yeah, I did it, but it took me 50 tries. Okay, I can walk into stage 99 right now with my run-of-the-mill Professor X with no CTP, and I can clear stage 99 Ebony. That's gotta count for a hell of a lot. So also, in the same vein of my Jean Grey tier 2 PvP example, maybe you don't want a tier 3 Professor X. I mean, he's one of the best. I put him at the top. I put him at top left for World Boss SS tier at tier 3. You could probably say that I'm wrong there. He's probably not as good as Deadpool, because Deadpool can do multiple bosses at 99, but I mean, I can move those around. That's not really finalized just yet. I was just starting the list off. I made the list from top left to bottom right, so that's why there may be a few more mistakes in the top left corner, but all of those characters are roughly the same power level. They can all do at least one stage 99, if not multiple stages at 99. But for the World Boss one at SS, the one thing I did consider more heavily, I gave it a little bit more weight than usual, is Thanos World Boss. So with the changes to strikers and the reversion, like the changes, and then the fact that the changes were solidified by being reverted when they tried to change it and make it different, a lot of characters can clear stage 99 or 90 plus of World Boss. And so my previous guides and my previous sort of lists and things like that, where I tried to show you guys different characters and I used examples from the community, I feel like those are outdated. And they're not only outdated, but they're not really very useful anymore, because you can take a lot of characters, not just tier 3 characters, but you can even take tier 2 characters like Psylocke, etc., with the right strikers, Weapon Hex, Hydra Cap, and you can clear stage 99. So I think Thanos is quickly becoming, at least in my opinion, the only real challenging world boss for end level and end game players. You know, for newer players, for intermediate players, sure, there's still a lot of challenge in world boss. I'm not saying world boss is easy. I'm not saying they have to make world boss all world bosses harder. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, if you have an account that has all tier 3s, or if you have an account that has, you know, the top 15 or the top 20 tier 3s, and you have really good builds on them with CTPs of energy and CTPs of rage, yada yada yada, and you play a lot of PvE, and you play a lot of world boss, and you've got all the strikers, you're gonna see, you sort of start to notice that I can mind control, and I can all defense down Proxima, Ebony, Corvus, and Cull Obsidian, and I can just nuke their ass. And I can do it for the mutant ones as well. Thanos is the only... Nobody plays Supergiant. Thanos is the only one that you can't just nuke down to 0. You can with this cheesy co-op trick with Sharon Rogers, but besides that, besides the one-shot of Thanos, you actually have to play seriously in the last 11 bars, because you cannot rely on mind control at all. You cannot rely on all defense down at all. So I think that is one of the only separators left, because now all characters have access to 100% all defense down with co-op skills and with strikers. So having the 100% all defense down active and there most of the time means that a lot of characters end up seeming the same. You know, okay, Magneto can clear stage 99, so can Luna. Professor X can clear stage 99 of Ebony, so can Luna. So then how do we differentiate these characters? Are they exactly the same? Well, no. Some people think that Professor X is easier to play than Luna, so that's part of it. Then you take them into Thanos World Boss. Okay, then you start to see a larger difference between these characters. And so I wanted to illustrate that difference a little bit. Do I think Professor X is the #1 best character for Thanos? Is that what I'm saying? No. I would probably put Sharon there or Namor. So again, you got to shuffle those around a little bit. Don't grill me too much for the placement of Professor X specifically, but I think that I'm really happy with this tier list. I hope you guys like it. And if you guys want more of these kinds of tier lists, now that I have a framework for it, it does take me a while. This took me about 2 hours to put together. I can definitely put out more of these in the future if you prefer these to the Google Doc. So let me know, you guys, what you think of this tier list. Let me know what changes you would make, if any additions you would make. If you want to see, maybe I already have some ideas. Actually, I want to take, for example, Jean Grey, and I want to put her X-Men Red uniform icon over top of the other one, and then just erase half of it, so you can see that she's basically the same with either uniform. I think that'd be really, really cool, and I could do that for a couple of other characters, I think, and they would still be very good. I could illustrate the fact that Namor is used on 2 days for ABX by erasing half of his armor and putting the regular Namor uniform there. But yeah, hit me up in the comments down below with your thoughts and your ideas and your opinion. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.